Welcome back to Pro Shop. Finally, the engine is back for the RBEH. So it only took 18 months. 9 months with the first engine builder, which they did stuff all, and 9 months with the second guy, and he was great. Look, easy to deal with, did build a great motor. Took a little bit longer than expected, but look, everyone's busy. So I'm just happy that it's back. So first thing I'm going to do is reassemble it, make sure everything fits. We got some cam covers made up. So same guys that did the manifold, custom Plenum Creations. They also had the cam cover, cam keys and everything all machined up. We were going to do it in black, but the owner saw another car and it was painted the body color and he just liked that. So we got it raw. We will finish that what we're going to do is we're going to put it all in. We're going to assemble everything, get everything ready and running. So not driving, but at least it could drive, just moving under its own weight sort of thing. Gearbox, everything in, tail shaft in, fuel lines in, water, everything you can think of, brake lines. Probably not put brake fluid in it, but just maybe get the engine running, fill some gears. Yeah, that's what we want to do. Then we'll strip everything down, paint it and reassemble it. That's the best way to do it. So today I am putting the gearbox back together, and I was just going to show you this kit. So PCM Motorsport does the adapter for the RB30 to the CD8 gearbox out of the 350Z, and it's pretty cool adapter plate. It comes with the flywheel. So these flywheels, you can actually unbolt it and replace the steel bit. It's an aluminium one. And it came with clutch kit, nice clutch, everything you need. So this adapter plate, it didn't come with a flex plate, so you need to get a flex plate off an automatic RB30. This is a Yellow Terror one, and then that bolts on first, then this bolts on. So the main thing with this adapter kit is that it not only adapts the gearbox, but it moves the starter motor. So the starter motor would probably clash right here where this bolts up on the block. So it moves over here, and so we've got to do a little bit of work. I think it may just need a bit of notching out here. We'll see. I've got to go through the instructions once more. It was a while ago when I read it. So today's job, I'm going to put this all back together, and because we are going to start it, I'm going to Loctite everything in so it doesn't really have to come apart again. Maybe just the gearbox off for painting. We'll see. Maybe we paint the whole thing together. That's not up to me. That's up to Image. They're going to be painting it. Then I'm going to put it back in the car. So I can unbolt this front end. It's pretty easy. There's not that many bolts in it, and slide it straight in. I want to get that back in, then finish the exhaust, start doing the intercooler. It's made up, it's just not welded because I've got to cut the holes, do the pipes. So I'm so excited. I've got so much work to do. So let's get stuck into it. In an earlier video when I was fitting the motor, I was talking about these engine mounts. So these are made for an RB30, RB26 to fit into an EH early model, EH Holden sort of thing. And well, as you can see, the gap in here isn't right. Actually, this one's better than the other one, but it goes in, it's a bit loose there. As it goes in, it gets tighter and tighter and tighter until you really got to force it in for the hole to line up. So, as I said, this one was worse. If you take a measurement from the inside here, and when you get to here, it doesn't fit in. And then when you get down here, it's loose. And you can see it doesn't actually go over. There we go, it's a bit tight. So you don't want the engine mount to be this tight when you're trying to get the motor in and out without even pushing down on that really hard. I can't get that lined up. So I could cut these brackets, move it out and re-weld it, but it's already been powder coated. So what I'm going to do is, if you look inside here, there's a 3mm gap between the two rubbers. So I will take, if I can get it out, take the rubber out and just cut probably 2mm off the edge here. Same with the tube, cut that down just to narrow that up, just so it slides in and out easily. Because yeah, as I said, you don't want to be having to move the engine around to kind of wiggle it in place. So what I thought I'd do is also, seeing that I have to modify this work, I might just weld up that D and then add a P here. So, what do you think? Pro shop? Anyway. And now, oh, look at that. Nice and easy. All right, I just had to fashion up some engine hooks because, well, they were on there when the motor left, but as I said, 19 months and 2 engine builders later, didn't expect them really to come back. So I've got my gloves on because this would have to be the sharpest box I've ever dealt with. There is just so much, you can hear that, burrs and little sharp edges. I've cut myself so many times on this. So one thing I want to do before we paint it is probably just go along and sand it smooth a bit, because it's just painful to work on. Look at this bit's nice, this bit's nice, but yeah, it's so rough. All right, let's get this in. And yeah, typical. The engine hook that I just made hits up here. The engine goes back into this groove. So I've just got to now take it off and reposition this hole. All right, we are in. It was a little bit tricky getting it in, but it's done. It was a lot easier doing this on the hoist, but the FJ is on the hoist. Actually, while I'm here, I will show you. Everyone's on holidays except for me. But just before we knocked off for the trimmers, my brother finished the headlining. It's looking good. So now we can put the windscreen rear window in. When they come back from holidays, they're going to tackle the carpet. The seat's already done. Kaylin's done the seats, and the door trims, they will go in last. So we're not far off this. This is going to look good. And I've been busy. I'll give you a quick look. Been busy doing the woodwork in the back. Actually really happy how this came out. I'll show you in the next video what I did. Yeah, but not today. Today it's all about getting the motor back in. So what I got to do before I put the intake and the exhaust back on is just do the PRP titanium bolt kit. Just not sure if I'm going to replace everything just yet, but I need some studs on the intake so I can put them in. The engine builder did put some new studs on the exhaust side, but we can't have that, they're not titanium. Anyway, they might do for now for setup, and we'll put them in maybe after paint. But yeah, we need some on this side. Alright, I decided not to put the titanium bolts in now, just because I will probably be taking this on and off many times for the lines and getting everything right, so I don't want to wear out those bolts. So we'll just stick, I just took 2 studs out of this side, I'll put them in that side, and yeah, we'll just go with this for now. Okay, we'll go a little bit loose so I can fit the dump pipe. Cool. All right, now the intake. So one thing that I want to do sooner rather than later is order the gaskets for both sides, because that, you know, 1 or 2 mil actually can make a difference when doing all the pipe work, or it will make a difference. So I'll order those probably tomorrow. One thing that I like to do with these V-bands, they always come with these locking nuts, and I find that you only get a few goes out of them before, one, they'll actually start stripping the thread, going in and out, or they just lose the tension in that locking bit. So while in fit up stage, I just always replace the nuts just with a normal, this is just a flange nut, but no locking mechanism. It's just easier to take on and off. It's probably something simple that most people already do. Just yeah, save that for a final fit up. Well, I think I've got everything bolted on that can be bolted on. And I think what I'm going to do now is pull the FJ off the hoist, put it in position so the trimmers can finish that. Then I can put this on and finish the exhaust. So this is in a good position. Just want to make sure that that is still lining up with the rest of the exhaust. Then I can make the wastegate pipe there and then come back around to the front. I need to mount the intercooler, build the radiator. I was trying to get the radiator, condenser and intercooler all at the front here, but it's just very tight, so I might be doing the condenser for the Aircon in the back like we did with the FJ. There's a little bit of room in there. So I did, when I was doing the front, repairing all the rust and, you know, making these drains up, these were the only pieces which I never welded in. So I wanted to make sure that the intercooler sits in there nice, and I've got to make some sort of bracketry to mount the intercooler, something that it can sit on here. So that's probably maybe one of the next things to do, and then I can work my way back all the way through. But one thing I just want to show you while it's off was the bonnet. So while I was waiting for the motor, I had to repair the bonnet. I was putting it off for as long as possible because I was trying to find a good secondhand bonnet, but they are quite rare. So this one had a lot of rust through this front part here, and what I ended up doing was, well, replacing that whole section. And how I did that was, first of all, I unpicked the skin all the way around, pulled the skin off from the frame. I then folded up a little template of the material that I needed to replace. Then I folded up a length that was just longer than the bonnet, and then that way I could cut it in half and trim it to fit in. Then I put it back on the car. I still had overlap on the top skin. I held it in there with a couple of clecos. Then I could trim the edges and gap it to the guards. Once I was happy with that, I could then cut that excess overlap off, tacking it as I went all the way along, and then finally TIG it and dress it up as I went. And yeah, I was actually pretty impressed. It came out really, really nice. So then what I did something a little bit different on the inside. Before I put the skin back onto the frame, I ran them both up to image, and they put a coat of etch primer on the inside of both. And before I put it together, well, I put this foamed back insulation down first. So usually what bonnets would have would be that spongy foam, that glue kind of thing. But I found in the past that the foam can sometimes push highs into the bonnet, and sometimes people use Sikaflex or some sort of glue, and the glues can actually pull lows into the bonnet. So I didn't want that. So what I did was this is adhesive back foam insulation, stuck that down to the skin, and what I did, I left a gap all the way around the edge of the skin. That way, before I put the frame back in, I put some panel bond around that top edge and put the frame in, and then went and clamped it down and dressed this little edge all the way around. And now it's come up, well, as I said, beautiful. The skin is nice, tight and solid, which is what I want, no floppiness. Yeah, so I thought I would just show you that before I put it back on, because once it's back on, I need to just work on the latching system, make sure the latch doesn't clash with the intercooler mount. So yeah, just thought I'd tell you that before I start doing everything. All right, now I've got everything back on the front end. I left the upper valance off just so I can see how much room I've got. Now I did do this earlier when I had the motor in. The only thing that has changed is the cam gear covers and the cam cover. We never had them, so there are a few little issues, which is why I never went ahead and ordered the wiper motor, because I thought it was going to be tight. So I'm going to have to take some measurements before I order that. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it can still fit in there. But the other thing I did make up was this radiator mock-up template. So this would ideally be the right size, maybe a little bit thinner. So by the time I put the shroud on and the fans, it's going to be really close to this water pump pulley. This side's fine, there's nothing over here. Power steering is electric, aircon's electric, so this is clear. Intercooler is pretty much touching on the lower valance here, so that's as far forward as I can make it. I didn't want it to come through to the grill. I wanted everything behind it. We are doing some sort of pattern in the grill, getting rid of the louvers and laser cutting something out. So yeah, this will be nicely tucked behind it. So I can probably start mounting this, but first I'll show you just underneath. So I'll just take you underneath and show you, I suppose, where we left off, because while the motor was away, I did do a few things. I did pull the fuel tank out and the exhaust out and finish all up in here. So all these panels are now welded in. I repaired all through here, just all that up. The filler, so this side, there's a drain inside that little pocket, and I had to make that come out here. So it runs inside that panel and then just comes out there, loaded that up. And a lot of people were saying about the fuel tank when I made it, that all the stuff coming off the wheels was gonna hit the tank. And I did say I was gonna make a kind of a removable mud guard, splash guard for it. So just some 3mm alloy, I bent that up, trimmed that into place. That can be unbolted to get the fuel tank out. And then I also did another little one on this side, just around the muffler. So all of the back is done. The bumper bar is all back together, all welded up. I did put a LED strip light in here as a number plate light, and welded on this panel for the number plate to bolt to. So we're pretty much done at the back. Moving forward, well, you saw all the gas struts and all the bed floor videos. So now we're just going to, this has just been tacked in. I'm gonna have to remake all of this now that the motor is in its final spot. Here's the catalytic converter. That's where it goes. So that's the only thing that will tell me that I've lined everything back up. I just tacked on this little bracket while I had the motor out. And yeah, obviously I had to weld on these wheels because I'm still waiting for the lower control arms and brakes. So it's been 12 months. It was actually Christmas time last year that we paid for the control arms. I will be calling him this coming week now that everyone will be back from holidays, just to chase them up. We're pretty upset with this guy. I probably will do a video and name and shame him because he hasn't been helpful at all. He just keeps on making excuses. The alloy billet control arms were on his website, pretty much like a add to cart, click now and buy, which the owner did. And it didn't say anything about waiting 12 months for them. He said there's been a bit of a problem with them. They clash on some parts, I don't know. Keep on making excuses, but if you're still prototyping parts, you shouldn't be advertising them for sale. That's just my opinion. Get it right. The other thing, the engine builder, I will get him in here soon. He's been really great. He did say that the sump is too small. So this was just a rod shop one. It's sort of the only thing that you can buy in Australia for an RB into early Holden. But we've got a lot of room here. So it's either I modify it, make it bigger, and put some gates inside it to stop the slosh around the pickup. So that's soon. That's probably one of the other things. There's so many things I've got to do. I did mount the power steering up there, so I will get some fittings and run some hoses to the front here of the rack. So the power steering can be done. The aircon will be going like the HR up in one of these sides. I'm not sure. We'll have the battery and the aircon, and not sure what the other side's going to have in it. But these panels, the HR, I had them removable, but this is going to be different. I'm actually going to weld them in. So from underneath, this will be all smoothed. So you won't really notice the chassis. You just see the profile of it at the bottom here, all smoothed all the way up. And then behind the seat in the cab, there'll be an access panel, like a little door, both sides. So to get to the battery, you just slide the seat forward and yeah, access that. Same with the aircon. So I'm going to wrap this video up now. It was just a sort of a quick video to show you that we got the motor back and updating people of where we're at with it because it's been a while. So this is where we were at. I'm going to order a crap load of parts right now and then get stuck into that. And there's still another few videos coming out. Got the trimming on the FJ. I think the engineering on the XY. So I'm going to get one of my engineers in here, and we're going to do probably a series on engineering and just show you what it takes to engineer a car in different calibers, from full custom just to, you know, parts like the engine sticking out the bonnet, things like that. And I will be doing the Land Cruiser video. Everyone wants that, so I'll be putting that out really soon. So from me and Barney, come on. Here he is. So from me and Barney, we're going to say goodbye. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.